talk to. But then I looked around, I said, small class, this is kind of a joking way of giving this lesson that I've been saying for 20 years. Small class today, but all the good ones are here. And this is what I really mean. I mean, congratulations for coming, even though you had excuses to. Right? And again, I'm not bad mouthing the other people, I'm just saying, every single day, we face a lot of choices, right? And a lot of things. Now, some people aren't even in the state or whatever, right? Like, that's all another reality over someone. But let me say it differently. How many of you are doing something else that could have easily kept you from making this commitment today? I mean, for the most part, you're not sitting around all day going, oh, I wonder what I want to do today, right? You got stuff that you're doing all day, especially in summer. I understand that's why it gets so hard to do things like this, is because when you swim all day and you do all the stuff that you do, when you do all the summer stuff, it's just like people that are always doing that stuff. The less you do, the less you do. The more you do, the more you do. That's why, like, when you're actually going to school, it's easier to do this. Because you think it'd be harder because you're working all day. But in reality, because there's structure into that, it's easier. When you're looking off all day, it's harder. So anyway, back to the point. The point is really just to applaud you for being here. Give yourself 2 claps. The thing I was going to talk about, before I decided to talk about that first, was really these guys. That's why I put them up in the front row. Because I want to talk about, we have some of the finest leadership in the world in this dojo. And look, I do feel good about the fact, I'm not ashamed of the fact that I'm proud of the fact that we had a lot to do with it. That we get to sow into people through our programs. But there's a lot more to it than that, right? Because number one, they're the right people in the first place, right? They're the right clay, right? Like God creates them to be the people that can receive this stuff. And number two, some of them bring a lot of other experience, like Sissy Thomas, of course, pretty straight books experience and stuff. And people bring other experience too. And then number three, what we just talked about. See, that wasn't even planned until we just talked about it. But number three, I guarantee you all of them were the ones that were always there. Right? Because you don't end up being the people in the front row that other people are looking up to unless you're the people that are always there. Yes, yes? Yes, sir. All right. Also, I have something specific. Sissy Thomas is going to make sure today that he has a good roster of the people that are really in the CIT. And what I mean by really in the CIT is, one, we're here listening and learning, and two, we also want to do that other part where with 300 hours, by the time we're second degree black belt, we're also a certified instructor. And he's like, he said today, he said, I'm just not even sure who I got and who I don't got. So we're gonna do that to some degree a little bit later today. I was gonna talk right at the beginning, and then I realized that it ties into the lesson. I'm gonna extract the lesson, and then we're gonna do the what we said, because it ties into the lesson. Okay? All right. So the lesson, I'm gonna write 3 milestones up here, and I'm not gonna put my reading glasses on, but I think that because I'm writing big, I can pull it off. So there's these 3 significant milestones, and there's significant milestones in the martial arts, and there's significant milestones in life. There's the white belt, because quite frankly, many people never even accomplish that. Now, the sad part about that is they never even know what they missed, because they never get the opportunity to begin something that is going to make them. You guys can sit down if you like. You guys can sit down if you like. You know what's to sit. They don't get the opportunity to experience what it's like to become better on purpose consistently, to have the confidence of knowing that you can defend yourself, right, and developing the black belt superpowers and all the things that you guys know. So it's the first step, and it's the first step of anything, right? Like, does everybody know that in order to be, let me ask the question differently. What's the first thing you must do to be great at anything? Start. Who was that? Is it Don? Yes, sir. Give him 2 claps. And I know that you know too. You did a great job, in fact, with that ventriloquist act. That was awesome. So the first thing is to start whatever is the thing that you want to do. In the martial arts, very, very often looked at as one of the, some people actually think it's the culmination, is the black belt. What the black belt is an incredible accomplishment. I'm in no way diminishing that. Like we tell every white belt the important message that a black belt is just a white belt that never quit, and it's true. And so we're teaching so many important lessons through that, like perseverance, right? And like the one that this lesson is really about today, which is the law of the process. That excellence happens daily, but not in a day, right? But people that become black belts make this awesome realization. They go, ah, because then they realize that they're really starting all over, right? Because white belt is the beginning of technique, and black belt is the beginning of understanding. Now you really, really start learning, and that's the path to mastery. So as I alluded to already, today's lesson is about the law of the process, and we're just using this as an analogy of the law of the process. And it's about another thing called the win. The win. Not necessarily the win in the sense, like, I won the football game or I win, right? What's important next? What's important next? The law of the process again, Aiden says what?
Daily, but not in a day.
Excellence happens daily, but not in a day. Give them 2 claps. And win, Nico says what?
What's important next?
That's right. 2 claps. And Charlie, what am I going to teach you next? I'm just kidding. All right. Here's the point. The way that excellence happens daily, but not in a day, is through the wins. See, if you're focused only on the long term, it can get overwhelming in whatever it is. So say Bryce is learning to be a program director. And, I was talking to him about the fact that look, if you look at all your key KRAs, your key result areas, it can be overwhelming. And that's why first I'm just teaching you to do a good intro. Then I'll teach you to do a good Roman conference. Then I'll teach you, right? Because if all of it at one time, it'd be overwhelming. Definitely like that in the martial arts, right? Can you imagine if you had walked in white belt and all the things that you know now, I would just give them to you? I'd be like, here's a book. This is everything you need to know to become a black belt one day. Come back when you got it down. What would your chance of success be? Yeah. And the lesson that I'm giving today, and we're going to go through the specific wins on this journey, but the lesson I'm giving, just remember, you can apply it to anything. You can apply it to career. You can apply it to a relationship. You can apply it to health. You can apply it to finances. You can apply it to life. It applies to anything, okay? So in the martial arts, though, we know that starting as a white belt is the first essential, because it's true when we say a black belt is a white belt that never quit. And it's true that if anybody that doesn't become a white belt never gets the opportunity to become a black belt. If you are a black belt, and you are really, really grateful that you had that opportunity, that you finished it, stand up. Yeah, of course. No black belt ever, says, I wish I wouldn't have done this. All right? It's too incredible. Hey, you guys, good to see you. So check this out. I'm gonna just throw a little, it's not really part of the lesson, but I'm gonna throw something in there. Because, especially for my team, and by the way, my team is doing so awesome. This summer, we're training like more than ever, like so much different kinds of training, and they're doing so good. But this is especially for them, just because they're already professionals in the martial arts. But I'll say it for everyone. Because you're all going to be one day, I think. Some are already helping me. So everybody that we came in contact with that never gets an opportunity to become a white belt, that was our fault. That's a bit extreme, maybe. But think about it that way. What if that kid that you know that is really, really a bundle of energy and needs some focus, what if you helped him become a white belt? that girl that you know that has very low confidence. What if you helped her become a white belt? By the way, I'm just throwing around random examples. What that older guy that is like, man, I gotta do something to get in shape. What about just the person, because I believe honestly that the biggest problem in our society today is isolation. So many things come from isolation. So what about just the person that's depressed or even suicidal because they don't have any friends? You think about all the people that we could help. And then know that you may already know some of them, but if not, we do all kinds of events and stuff to reach out and try to help people. Right? And by the way, like everything else in life, if we do our part, we can't control the rest. Circle of concern, circle of control. I'm not saying they all have to say yes. But man, at least share the good news. You guys understand?
Sure.
So, I use my notes on this because we pretty much know them already, right? So after the white belt, what's the first major milestone you have to do to ever become a black belt? You gotta qualify for black belt training, right?
Yes.
Ooh, nice, Felicity. Give her 2 claps. She's using the magical language of respect, and she knew that was the right answer. So you have to qualify for the black belt training and the black belt leadership program so that you can continue on with your training. Now, once you're in that life-changing college level education, then you can then you have certain milestones along the way. Milestones mean these are the checkpoints along the way that I'm going to know, right? I gotta get the next one, I gotta get the next one, I gotta get the next one because that one's too far away, but I know I can get the next one, I know I can get the next one, right? Like,
Yes, sir.
so what's the next one? You gotta get through your freshman year, right?
Yes, sir.
And then when you graduate from your freshman level, what's next? You gotta do your sophomore level, right? And then your junior level. And then the Constitution, say it is, yeah. Then the black belt level is the senior level. We are changing some things, how is this? That is still true. So in the next quarter, we're going back. We're changing back, that happens a lot around here. Try something, we're going back. What we're going back to is phase 1, freshman year is gonna be light orange. Phase 2, sophomore year is going to be purple, blue, green. Phase 3, junior level is going to be browns and reds again. And phase 4 is the black belt class. Okay? Now, by the way, you become a black belt, but what do you become first, by the way? That probably, it says black belt, I'm gonna put it here. What's really right before black belt? Probationary black belt. I'll call them probing. You have to do a year as a probationary black belt before you can test for your actual certified black belt. And then we know that really the minimum goal we set here is the first step on the path to mastery, which is second degree, which I call black belt leader. We go second, which is black belt leader. I know all of you have already committed to that goal, that's why you're in here. And then a third degree is a senior black belt. And then the fourth degree is the beginning of mastery. We call it master, and that's the white belt level of being a master. It is. Right? Because then they go 5th and 6th and 7th. Right? And 8th. Right. Right? You can decide how high you want to climb, but you understand the point of the message. Here's what I know, because this is part of the analogy applies to everything else too. I know that if I can get somebody to second degree black belt leader, I can prepare them for success for the rest of their life. I know it, because I know they will possess the competence, the fortitude, the competence, the skills, the attitude, all the things, because we put a lot of work into making sure that we give you all those things. Not only that, but we have so much evidence. Like when I first founded this school 21 years ago, October of 2000, there was no evidence. I just had some ideas. now, there's lots of amazing black belts out there. Some are in the dojo, but some are, and we have Taylor Hickson, one of my first black belts, that's a naval aviator. We have, Jayla, who's an attorney in DC. We could go do so many, right? There's so many. There's every branch of the military we have successful officers. So many colleges that our black belt leaders got into on full scholarships. So many successful careers, because you can't learn this stuff and not be prepared and equipped. And here's the other thing, you can't fake it that long. This is a 6-year program. You can't pretend like you're interested for 6 years. Right? You gotta actually start getting some of the stuff down in you. Now here's the point. At that point, at 2nd degree black belt, I'm totally fine with whatever decision they make next. Some are gonna be lifers like us, and so they're gonna be like, I want to be a master. I want to keep going. I want to be a master, a senior master, and a chief master. I'm going to keep going. That's great. Some will say, man, I love it so much, I want to stick around and be a part of your mission. I want to produce other black belt leaders. But some will do all those other things. So no, I'm going to take all the leadership skills that we've been equipped with here, and we're going to take it out into the world, and we're going to make the world a better place. I'm going to be a doctor, a lawyer, a preacher, a politician. And I know when I say stuff like that, somebody's gonna make some wisecrack, but you know what? There's good politicians and there's not good politicians. And it comes down to choice, belief, in this training. Not every lawyer is whatever the joke about them is. Not every politician is whatever the joke about them is. Not every policeman is whatever the joke about them is. All these things are ignorant stereotypes. What it really comes down to is this person a worthy leader? That's what this program is all about. So understand that when I put mastery at the top of this chart, I don't even necessarily mean you make it to 4th or 5th degree. You might just go do some kind of other life mastery. But if you've done the black belt leader level first, I know that you can do that. You guys understand?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm going to tell you what I've drilled home, okay? And then, what I meant to drill home, and you tell me if I've succeeded, okay? One is just that the law of the process in the martial arts and in whatever is defined and accomplished by a series of small wins. What's important next? What's important next? What's important next? And then when we focus too far in advance, instead of focusing on what's important next, we get overwhelmed and derailed sometimes. Remember, the second thing I hope to drive in was that the second thing was that we all have a responsibility to help people become white belts. You could just help them get that part, we'll take them the rest of the way. The third is that I honestly believe that our program, our Black Belt Leadership Program, which is to get people to 2nd degree Black Belt, is the precursor to great success at anything. And for some, it will be to continue on in the martial arts. And for others, it will be to go off and get mastery in something else. But it's really the base level towards any of that, I think. I think that's about it. Did I succeed? Did you guys did I succeed? Does anybody have anything they'd like to share as far as their personal experience in any of this, where you are in the Walker process? And what I mean by that, to be a little more clear, is I thought this, but now I'm this far and I think this. Or anything that you'd like to share. Because remember, a big part of this program is being able to be confident to get up in public and speak. Yeah. Anyone? Something about, here's how I was, and this is where this program has already brought.
I'm here.
Yes, please.
Years ago, I used to work in the sales
I listen to Brian Tracy, I listen to a lot of different motivational speakers. They had a process of the way I've got my business and everything. And since I started the Black Belt Leadership Program and everything, you brought up about the Brian Tracy, different motivational speakers. And I've gone back, thank goodness for YouTube, you can pull up all their tapes and everything. The 21 influences. He has the whole thing on, and I just started that. And it brought back just listening to him on goal setting, what you need to do to achieve, what you need to do. That brought back a lot of things that I used to do that I'm in the process of retiring, so I've got business and everything. But maybe refocus on what I need to do to go through this process. And I will be honest, this program is what encouraged me to go back and look at those things.
That's awesome.
Well, I've been training since I was 3. I've been in your specifically your program since I was about 3 years old, on and off, obviously. But even when I stayed on, just all this stuff after I got my, I guess it's considered probably black belt. I just, even after I got my first degree, after I left, I still was using all the training and everything, and it ended up leading me back here. I've taken breaks multiple times, and I always end up right back here in the program, and now I'm doing a bunch of other things in my life and helping other people get through things. And even my sister came up in the program and got 2 second-degree black belt, and my mom got to her pro black belt, and we're just all better for it. We all kind of use that on a daily basis. I'm the old one still here, but I'm still using everything you've taught me, and it's got me through school, it's getting me through work, through all of my endeavors that I'm going through right now.
Yeah, the biggest thing that's just coming down. Yeah.
Exactly, and it's something.
Says HR. Yeah. Speak.
All right. When I first joined, I'd say for the first 6 months of me being here, I thought I was all kicking and punching, right? Then I was walking out of class one day, and Grandmaster was sitting out there, and he looked towards me. He's like, "I want you to come and try out leadership one morning." And it was Saturday morning at 8 a.m. So I'd get here, we sit around the table, and we talk about principles, and that's the moment in time I realized, wait, this is more than just kicking and punching, right? This is life skills, right? Things I'll use like 40 years from now, right? Interacting with people outside of here. So it's just, I really appreciate it. And
That was great. Look at you. I just think of my since they tried to do that 3 years ago. All right, awesome. Anyone else?
I guess I'm always like love to teach. You know, we don't have military, I always love to teach children and stuff like that. My life for years has been actively teaching schools. I just have no joy and no sense of. I've taught in schools, in the RTC departments and other classes, teaching some other programs about not self-defense, but trying to stay off fighting and collaborating a little higher stuff in the National Guard does. And it's nice just to find something that I actually enjoy doing. So, I look forward to being able to teach something I actually enjoy.
Oh, yeah, gotcha. Good.
Instead of just school.
Love it. That's a great segue into my closing part of this lesson then. Because these are the things, these are kind of all the things that have to happen to become a black belt leader. But there's one that doesn't have to happen. But it really makes the experience even better, really makes the martial artist even better, and is the secret sauce. It's the secret that makes our sensei the best in the business. And the secret is the CIT. As some of you are doing here right now. All of you are doing here right now. Some of you have already started the second part of this, what I was getting at, right? Because there's 3 parts to the CIT. The first part is the part where you sit and listen to me, and we do small groups, and you're actually working on the skills. It's like sitting in a college classroom. The second part is the part, which I'm gonna call to happen soon, where you get with the chief instructor and you say, I want to practice my skills on the floor. And I know most of you have already done it sometimes, but we're gonna organize it even better, so I want you to make sure you get them, okay? And you say, I can contribute this much time to it. And I want to be on the floor with you so I can learn, I can practice what Grandmaster's teaching, and I can learn from you. And that's the part that we call kind of like a internship. It's like an internship. You go, you sit and learn the medical stuff in medical school, but then you need an internship to actually go cut somebody, right? And that's like this. And Sensei Thomas is even going to talk a little bit through, or he's got the sheets if you want to see, anybody needs the review of it, the levels of the program, right? You want to get your first 50 hours and become a SWAT, and then, and then go storm, and then goes 50. He's got the requirements for all that, to include the requirements for what it's like to become a sensei or a chief instructor, right? It's all in there. Actually, let's just do it right now. We'll take a break. We'll take 5-10 minutes, and they can you can come talk. And okay. All right, come over for Sensei Thomas.
You take a break first, or?
No, I mean this is the break.
Oh,
I meant a break from me.
Oh, all right. Okay. So first thing I want to do is just want to review what the CIT program is, the requirements for each of the levels, and how you go about getting more and more involved. And a lot of this is for those of you, doesn't matter how old you are, right? Twins are very young, you've got Felicity over there. You can start this process now. You can be a junior instructor without being, as a child, right? I mean, Aiden, no big deal. 13, yeah, so Aiden is almost on that track as well. So obviously the first thing is as we talk about milestone, the first thing is you have to qualify for BDT or LTC, right? So you have to be in that level of commitment before you can get invited. And then the next thing is being invited into the certified instructor training. We're inviting people all the time. Not everybody wants to, and that's not a bad thing. The CIT program is certified instructor training, so it's not leadership, right? It's tied to it, and like I was explaining this to somebody earlier, every CIT student is also in leadership, but not every leadership student is in CIT, right? So it's that kind of methodology. CIT is specifically for the people who have any interest in being an instructor of any type, whether it's an assistant instructor, whether it's a junior instructor, those are different, whether it's a head instructor or a chief instructor. Now, what's the difference between a chief instructor and a head instructor? Anybody know?
So there's a second group, and then the chief instructor is and they are the master over the division, and they tell the other instructor and the assistant instructor that's going on for the week.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Give a good clap. So a chief instructor is third degree, has to be third degree or above. That's the thing. The other thing about a chief instructor is a chief instructor should be able to do any job that's required. Whether it's the program director's job, whether it's the teacher, whether it's the head instructor job, they are one step below the master instructor, right? Who obviously is Grandmaster, Castillo in our case. But there's a lot of steps to that. So first you get invited to the CIT, which everybody in this room has been invited by an instructor or a sensei or a Grandmaster has been invited, right? You don't just show up to CIT, you have to be invited in. The second thing you're going for here is your SWAT patch, your SWAT badge. And that is 50 hours of CIT work. Not training, but that's when you start actually putting your skills to the test. Because all of this is just theoretical, right? Once you start, like Grandmaster said, the internship, you need 50 hours of that to become SWAT. So that 50 hours is an awful lot of high fives. You're gonna have a lot of high fives, you're gonna have a lot of great jobs, right? But at that level, you're not yet prepared to teach because you're still also in that 50 hours. If this goes the way the program is designed, you're also spending that much time in this. You're spending, you know, if you're doing an hour a week, that's almost a year, where you're just putting your skills to test on the mat, but you're also here every month. So you're getting a lot of that training. So once you get your SWAT patch, you go on to the next, which is Storm. You need 100 hours to gain your Storm patch. And the Storm is where you really start to be a role model. And that's why it's actually called Special Team of Role Models. That's where you really start to become a role model for the people you're assisting. So you're in class, you're more than just, and I don't mean this in any negative connotation, but you're more than just a high five monkey, right? Before that, before your 50 hours is up, you're literally just a high five monkey, right? Because you're still learning. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to have you do things on the floor, because I think, like Lydia has helped in some classes, I mean, Aiden helps all the time. I haven't really had any of the others assist in class, and David has as well. And so I give you guys tasks, right? You're not just standing around, because you're all past that. All of you are actually the ones that are helping. You're past that 50 hours, so we need to actually start tracking that as well. But once you get to that 100-hour mark, you become an actual role model for those people. They see the patch on your thing, on your gi, and you're more than that. You're beginning to give them true inspiration, not just, hey, good job, high five, right? Then we move on to the FIST. And the FIST is a big one, right? That's the 200 hours, and that's the future instructor student teacher. At that level, you are actually going to be doing breakout groups. So you will be taking a small group over the side and teaching them something, obviously under the supervision of the head or chief instructor on the floor. But you will be taking groups. You will be assisting people. At that point, you are so far along in your certified instructor training that you should have the following things. Our pedagogy, that's how we teach. Our methodology, that's what we teach. And the curriculum, which is obviously the punching cave. At that level, you begin to learn how to weave in the leadership lessons into a class. Because that's an important part of what we do as instructors. It's not just the punching and kicking. Sensei Charlie alluded to, there's a lot more to it. So as an instructor on the floor, once you get to that 200-hour mark, that's where you begin to learn how to weave those lessons, how to talk about discipline in the class, how to spotlight a student, how to do all of those things that you've now heard about in the CIT training. You now get to start to put in practice by having your own small groups, right? And I'm not talking about line leaders, right? That's the 100 hours and below people. That line leaders are the 50 to 100-hour people. They're just standing there, right, holding pads. The 200-hour mark, yeah, you may have every once in a while have to hold a pad for a line, but more than that, I'll probably give you that group. That's your group for the next half hour. You take them over there, you put them in a line, you run with it. Then we get to the 300-hour mark, right? And that's the milestone. That's the big milestone. So at 300 hours, and you pass your test. You're a certified instructor, right? There is a test, by the way. I believe there's still a test. We always have it. Yeah, at the 300-hour mark, you pass your test, you're a certified instructor at KMMA.
And there's three parts to the test.
Yes.
Three parts to it. There's the written test, the practical test, and the verbal test.
Yeah, so it's not just spending 300 hours and automatically. No, there is some checks on learning. Of course, by the time you're there, it's much like black belt, right? By the time you get to that 300-hour mark, and if you started CIT as a white belt, then about the time you get 300 hours is about the time you become a pro black belt. It kind of works that way, right? If you're doing all the things you need to do. So at that point, you're a certified instructor, which means you could begin to teach entire classes. Now, not by yourself, because you're not to the next level yet, but you could. You have the knowledge, you have the skills. So that's the point when we start not only breaking you off the groups, but that's when I say, okay, and that's when you get, you start being called sensei at that point. I say, oh, Sensei George, I want you to take this group to the other room, right? And now you're on your own. You're in the other room teaching a group of things. You're still not qualified yet to run the whole floor. The next level, once you become a certified instructor and you've achieved your first degree black belt, first or second degree, you become an assistant instructor. And that's where you become part of the organization, for lack of a better word, right? That's when you're actually part of the business side of the organization. organization,
You get paid.
you get paid. I didn't know if you wanted me to say that. So I'll let him say it, yeah. So certified instructors, you're still an intern. Once you become an assistant instructor, you become part of the organization, you get paid, right? And at that point, assistant instructors can teach entire classes without a head instructor on the floor. Sensei Charlie is technically an assistant instructor, right? But he runs classes because he's been through all of this training. And of course, then we have head instructor. And the head instructor is second degree or above, and the head instructor can be responsible for an entire school. At that point, they manage the floor, they can put together curriculum based on our curriculum sheets. You begin to learn how to put together classes, and at that point, you are able to essentially run the floor, right? And then of course, the chief instructor is after that, third degree or above, and you're already, at that point, chief instructor, you have learned everything there is to know about. Doesn't mean you're master yet, we're not to the master level, but you can do everything. You can do enrollment conferences, you can do the floor, you can manage the studio as a whole, right? Manage dojo. So that's a little bit about how that ladder works. Okay. Now, here's the key. If you try to get all of this done by just coming to this once a month and then helping in 1.5 hour class a week, how long is that going to take you? Forever. 5 ever, actually. Right? 1.5 hour class a week, 52 weeks, that is 25 hours in 1 year. Which means it'll take you 2 years just to get to your SWAT badge. But here's the thing, guys. You get CIT hours for anything that you do as a CIT student that is not taking a class. Okay? So this is a class, so you don't actually get CIT credit hours for this, unless that is changed. It goes out of that. But you do get them, for instance, Sensei Bryce is running a movie promo next weekend. If you work a 4-hour shift, how many hours do you get? 4 hours. So you just got 4 hours towards your total by doing that. And why? Right? Why? Because some people might be thinking, well, but working a movie promo, you're not teaching. Why do you get it? Why?
You're just learning a different side of it. You're learning to bring people in.
Not just that. What else are you learning, Lydia? What else?
Talking to people.
Confidence.
You can't, there it is, thank you, Eric, but yes, but Lydia hit it on the head too. You cannot be an instructor unless you can do this, right? You just can't do it. You can't, even Shion Harley, who is our most introverted instructor, okay? He can't do this without being big and loud, and even he does it. And now for him it was harder, and for some of you it might be more difficult. But that's why these extra events that you go to and help out are so important for CIT students. Because it helps you get out of your comfort zone. It helps you get out of, because there's a lot of you in here that are shy a little bit. You never know it by seeing her in class, right? But she is a little shy coming up to strangers and people she doesn't know. So getting you out of your shell, getting you out of your comfort zone, that's why you get hours for all of those things, because it's just, it's important. It's as important as learning the punching and kicking, because you can be the best physical martial artist in the world and be the worst teacher, because you have no personality yet, you have no ability to talk to people at their level, you cannot give people what they need. So that's why we give credit hours for doing assistance. It's not just because we want people to come help, it's because we need you as future instructors to do that, to get out of your comfort zone, to get out of your shell. And even the people who are already out of their shells, right? Brett, Eric, Richard, Cindy, they're already good at that. But what are they learning? They're learning that, right? They're learning the other side of the coin. They're starting to learn what it means to bring somebody in, and how we work them through the whole process and get them to this level so that we can get them to this, right? Can't get them to this until we've got them to that. So it's an important role, and it's an important part of CIT, okay? So I want to go over this. So the next thing we need to go over, and then we're going to do the sheet.
Can I say one thing before you go to the sheet?
Yes, sir. Well,
First of all, give him a big hand. I just wanted to add this, because I thought that was an amazing explanation of why we have you guys come to outside marketing events. But I have one other thing, it's true that for almost everybody that's on the floor, actually not for the front row, but for almost everybody on the floor, what you're doing is what Sensei Thomas said. You're learning to overcome that fear. It's what I promised your parents on the sheet where it said public speaking and all that. But here's what I think the people that already got it are learning, if they're paying attention. When Cindy and Eric and Rhett have a team out there, they're learning how to do what we do for a living. Take somebody who doesn't have it yet and empower them with it. And I hope that somebody. Who did you throw down to the ground there? So your back's thrown out now. That was me. That was me. Oh, Red.
That's not a sign.
Not right off.
He just tossed you, Red.
What you gonna do about it?
Oh, man, I feel the same.
Cindy, I don't know if you're really back there. Is she really back there?
She's there.
Okay.
She's there.
But listen, honestly, that is a huge, right? Because, listen, so the program director position, that's not even on this because this is about instructor training, but is really kind of like there she is really an assistant instructor / head instructor. It's somewhere in between. It's one of the things. It happens to be the guy that is responsible for all the marketing stuff and all that, right? But the point of the story is, like even he's training to become a chief instructor one day. And see, the chief instructor, for one thing, means they're the facility manager. There's multiple occasions that's going to happen in a couple of years, right? Then each chief instructor runs the dojo, right? That's why they have to have been a program director, by the way. Have to work their way through all of them. But because they have to know all the jobs. But the most valuable thing that it's what I get to do right now, but honestly then he's also doing it here with me, and it'll eventually be the job of the chief instructors, is what we're talking about. The ability to take somebody who doesn't have the skills yet, or the confidence yet, or the attributes yet, and pour that into them so that let me tell you something. I'll tell you one more secret, and I might shoot myself in the foot with this secret, but if you can do that, once you get that down, every company wants you. Because that's the most valuable thing, is the ability to actually, like most, believe it or not, most corporate leaders aren't really good at it yet, right? Like the ones that are really successful. The ones that are have huge organizations of happy and productive followers. It's a skill, right? So anyways, so the time you know.
All right, so the next part of CIT is figuring out who you are, where you are, and what you're doing, okay? That is not our responsibility to track, it's yours. So what that means, but we give you the tools, right? So we're not just saying figure it out, we've got the tools. On your attendance card, there is a section at the bottom for CIT tracking. All you have to do is get your attendance card, come help a class, come to either the assistant instructors on the floor, the program director, or myself, mark down how much you worked, how many hours you did, that's it. But it has to be done by one of us, right? So all you have to do is bring your card up, say I just helped in a half-hour basic class, 25 hours, that's it. At the end of the semester, every 3 months, we total it up, and we give you this card. When you achieve your milestones, 50, 100, 200, 300, you bring all your cards back, and we turn it into a patch, which you then take and get sewed on to your detox. Right? That's how that works. So, if you haven't been doing this, and you're helping in classes, you need to start. That way you can track your hours. Because if you don't track it, then you'll be the lowest denominator forever. You'll never move up in the ranks, which means you won't get to do more stuff, right? And that's the thing. So there's more than that. So when you say more stuff, all right, Sensei Thomas, what's more stuff? Well, we have parties for each of those levels. We have events for each of those levels. I invite all my Storm people for a special training where they get to learn something new and they get to learn something that's outside the curriculum. My fish people get to come and maybe have a pizza party. My big people, right? The Yeah, my SWAT, they come for a pizza party, they get to hang out. My FIST people, we might go, watch a UFC fight and learn some new stuff, right? And then of course my actual certified instructors, you guys are amazing, right? So we make sure that there's things for you. So it's not just about teaching, it's not just about standing here on the floor. It's also about getting to be part of the rest of it. It's getting to be a part of bringing up the next generation and doing all that stuff. So you have to start tracking, okay? And basically, it's super easy, like I said. You bring the card to one of the instructors, they mark it off. At the end of the semester, you'll get your card back with your hours. You put it with all the other cards. I recommend putting a punch hole in it and putting them right in your CIT binder. Put them all right in your CIT binder. And then you bring it when you've collected enough, and you trade it in for a patch. Yes, sir.
You I can get those cards? Like from January?
I will have to check with Ms.
May
Barber.
or not be able to do that, but if not, and you know what you did, you can just,
Yes.
we'll make it right.
We'll make it right.
I've checked.
We'll make it right. But the reality of the situation is, who's been military, raise your hand. Okay, I mean, you guys are gonna appreciate what I'm about to say. But, so, it's so good to have an NCO again. Right, like, I'm an officer. I'm good at the, and by the way, I was enlisted
Makes a
first.
lot of sense.
I was enlisted first, and then I was sent to college, and I became an officer. Here's what it means to those that have no idea what we're talking about. And it works out perfectly because your master instructors are officers again. The officer does the 1/50,000 kind of thing. He does the way up here, the vision and direction, and this is what I want to have, this is where we're going. And the NCO takes that great plan you just put out, like, here's the things that we actually need to do to realize that.
Macros and micro. Macros and
Exactly right. And to be honest, I was missing that. So join me and say, yeah!
So if you have been marking them on your card, then that,
I've been marking them
okay. So and that's the thing. So the cards haven't been used as well as they should have, and we need to start using them. But if you have been in the CIT for that long, then we'll have a conversation and kind of
You
figure out.
haven't had yet? What about you?
out. Yes, sir, I got my SWAT.
Oh, okay.
In December, I got my SWAT from that department.
Okay, so
Oh,
it won't be that hard.
I'm working on the next guy.
Yeah, and
great.
it won't be hard to figure out, we got 20 hours or whatever so far, I would start tracking the other 30 now. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course,
I just know if y'all keep the cards.
yeah, I will check with this part. We may have them somewhere, but they hadn't been used. So the other thing that the reason is every student's actually going to get their card back at the end of the semester. Because I love these cards. Once I came back and saw these cards, I was like, my goodness, why are we not using them for everything? So I actually used the testing form on the back. I know Grandmaster did for the ITC in the camp, and it's great. It's a great system, right? It's amazing. It's almost like we came up with it to use. So I use the cards heavily. I write notes on them a lot, even during class. Like some of you will pick up your cards and give it like, if you look on the back, it's probably not everybody in here, but some of the kids that have been watching and need some assistance. And so the testing that's happening next week, there will be notes on there as well as your score. So you'll be able to look real quick and go, oh, okay, well, it looks like I need to work on this. And there'll be a specific note at the bottom, like if there's a low score somewhere, I'll write why the score is low. So you can kind of try to work on that, and we talk about it, right? So every student's actually gonna get their card back from now on. It's gonna be, here's your belt, here's your certificate, here's your card. Or if you didn't pass your belt test, here's your card, and why didn't you pass your belt test? And they'll have that conversation. So we're gonna start doing that, and so CIT, you have one more thing, you actually keep that card so that you can track the hours. So it makes it super easy. So then of course, the last thing we need is we need to know who is actually on the track for CIT, who wants to continue on the track for CIT and actually accomplish these goals. Now that doesn't mean that your goal has to be assistant instructor and come on part of the organization on payroll, but that does mean you're going to learn how to teach. So that's what I need now. So first step is who is. So raise your hand if you are. If you're on this track, you want to keep doing it. All right, fantastic.
You guys do, right?
Yeah.
You help classes?
Yeah, you want to help with classes? All right, so I'm going to pass this around. I don't need you. I do need you, though.
Yeah. So we actually do it right at the end?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Um,
Right.
So right at the end, we're going to Like, don't leave without signing the thing, okay? If you wanna do the thing. And I'm assuming if you don't wanna do it, because you're here learning and stuff, so I'm assuming if you're not ready to sign up for the things because you don't have the confidence yet, I would just say this, that, it doesn't take any, that's how you start going, right? Like, because at the beginning, you literally hold a pad, and then they walk up to you and they say, hey, if you can manage to get one of those shaking hands away from the pad, give them a high five. Like that. That's really literally how it is, right? So you don't have to feel like anything's gonna be expected of you when you start. It really is a training program. But believe it or not, you start, and one day you're like 6 8 pounds. That's what it's at. Then not everybody will have the beard. All right, so the next thing I want to teach you about real quick is a teaching technique called the pyramid method. And the pyramid method is a way of teaching that you can learn something you don't know so much faster than you can without it. Okay? So, Lydia, you most certainly do not know kickboxing set 8, is that true? Okay, everybody go around in a circle real quick. Just make a big circle around Lydia. Now, I'm only going to teach Lydia the first combination of set 8, because then some of my student instructors are going to break into small groups and use the pyramid method to teach all of you the rest of it. Okay? But right now, she's going to learn the first combination. Look at that awesome stance, by the way. For 2 claps. All right, Miss Lydia, show me a nice round kick. Front leg round kick. Front leg round kick. Don't change your leg, just stay there. Pick your front leg and kick. Nice. Good. Try not to change more, just pick it up and kick. Nice. Oh, it's getting better already. I like that, man. That's good. That's good. You're good. All right, Miss Lydia. This time, I want you to throw that same round kick again, but this time when the foot hits the ground, I want you to also launch a jab. Okay? Nice. She's doing so good, I think she's ready for the next move. So, Miss Lydia, this time, first I show everybody real quick your awesome jump cross. Okay, now this time, off of that round kick, I want you to come down with that jump cross, okay? Woo! All right, and then Miss Lydia, you already know how to throw a Muay Thai type, like our kickboxing round kick high. Okay, so you know the one to the leg, right?
Yes, sir.
Has somebody taught you how you kind of spin around? Okay, sure, real quick, since you want to, just the right leg. The right leg, go Muay Thai round kick. Okay, so when you're gonna do this, actually, let's make sure you got that first. Just show me this one. Oh yeah, so you got it. All right, so do this one. Jump cross. Again. Last one. And you're that is the first combo of kickboxing set 8. Now, we're going to break into small groups. Do you know set 8 yet or not? No. Okay. All right. Okay. You do. All right. So those 3 are going to take small groups, and they're going to use the pyramid method to teach you that one, because most of you didn't learn that one just now. Right? And then they're going to teach you the second combo, and then maybe even the third combo. Now, understand that because none of you are black belts, after tonight, it's totally okay to just forget it. But, because I just wanted to use something that you didn't know yet, to show you how quickly you can learn if you understand how to use the pyramid method. Right? Because quite frankly, if you just see the whole thing, without that, it's much harder. Right? Like, what if I instead had done this? Says hey, Charlie. Okay? Let's show them kickboxing set 8 what it's like. All right. And then go like, do that. All right? It's like that conversation. That'd be a little overwhelming, wouldn't it? Let's see how far we can get with the pyramid method and these 3 great leaders. And when I say go, you guys just kind of split off and say, hey, to me, and we see, and hopefully we get 3 equal groups, okay? Go!
All right, come on over here.
Everyone out in this corner.
Everybody.
Everybody.
Bring it.
Alright.
Let's see what you're getting.
So first we'll start with.
Everybody in my group, take it
Just
easy.
showed, so lead leg round kick, jab cross, back leg round kick. Any questions on that?
Everybody.
Lead leg round kick,
What's
jab
that?
cross, back leg round kick.
It's
Nice
like,
job. Lead leg round kick, jab cross.
So like I did it first, so of course they're all jab coming out, round jab, and then round jab cross, and then you
One.
okay?
Go and get your guard stance.
Alright,
One.
see your.
We're gonna
Lead
start
leg
with
round
nice.
kick.
So now.
As high as you can, right?
Alright, so
If you
from
can,
there.
left leg,
Alright, now, after that, leg drops, come forward with the jab.
Alright, now everybody's out. Good job.
Lead leg round kick. Alright, now after that, we're gonna go lead leg round kick, you're gonna go jab, and follow up with a cross. Cross, nice.
So, when I say one, you're going to the left.
Good job. Alright, now,
One.
after you throw that lead leg round kick, you're gonna go
What?
jab cross, you're gonna take your
Now, after that
back
left leg round kick, you're gonna land that
all the
way
way
down.
around,
Okay?
just make the instructor.
I'll just make that all one.
Lead leg round kick,
One.
jab cross,
Jab.
Okay.
Further jab, let's see here.
And you just have to go to like down, same as okay, ready? Remember, same as the leg with the one time.
Alright,
What?
This one's high.
now, step 2.
Right here.
Now,
Remember
on top of that,
that?
jab cross.
That's
all when I say one.
You just go
Alright.
One.
You just keep your
Jab cross.
Okay, so I'll say 4 rounds.
Nice.
Three,
Alright.
4.
Now, are you guys ready for a challenge?
One.
4.
You're gonna go a round kick, and I'm gonna catch your round kick, and you're gonna go into a. Alright, so he's gonna go a round kick, I'm gonna catch
Last
it.
portion of this here,
Into
so I did my left leg jab cross. Now I'm gonna
Throw it in.
reset pull it back. I'm gonna do all the way through on that round kick. Grab all my more. I say one, you do that whole thing. What?
Alright, that's all good. And then the next step is gonna be after he touches my round kick.
What?
After the twist and the knee, we're gonna give him a push, step back, and throw that same right here.
Alright, now, we're gonna start 2 up, keep it right, so the left leg's gonna kick 2, we're leaning back, keep it so. Hands up, hands up. Alright, a bit harder to do without 28. When I say kick out, you'll throw that front seat go. And then after, around 6, that'll be fine.
Alright, so next combination after that is gonna be jab cross, flip cross. Alright, so let's do that. Jab cross, flip cross. Nice.
Alright, so, now, 2 starts off with that push jab, right?
Alright, here's the
He's
jump.
gonna press back when I do,
After
stop her, move to the ground,
standing.
and that's another one of the stick.
I'm gonna go that jab cross, flip cross.
So here's what 2 looks like right now. 2,
Cross. I'm throwing like a fake
Have you
hook.
done,
You're not landing it. You're throwing it like this. And Next, leading into a spinning side.
Yeah, so
we want
that
on the spinning side,
take the leg out.
on that hook, on that
On
hook,
this combo.
you're using it to go like this, and you're looking at the target before you go to. So you're going here, twisting your body, looking over your shoulder, and bringing up that
So
side.
now, get out of this
Yeah, so on that hook, so ankle face hook, my leg is up here, I twist
So,
it.
you don't wanna be doing this, straight forward or anything. So, get one hand, on his neck,
Okay, so I'm here, jab across, hook across, hook, bring your hips go up, and I kick them in the butt. And I know you said
physical practice here.
come here, cross, you can come here, you put your hands up, reach his body wide open.
She starts up here, and then you catch the kick, right? I'm moving forward into this. Going to knee. From here, use my forearm, right? Stepping away, creating a I'm here, right?
Get in one single.
Now, I'm in good range, we're around here.
Okay, so first part.
Same one that we did on the first one, right? So like on 5, bring all the way down.
Next shot, we're gonna put it all together.
Like on say 2, you do it all the way.
Once again, the first section, it starts lead leg round kick, jab across, back leg round kick, set, that's
On
one,
top of that, you don't
set
need
two,
throws.
thrust, hook, spin set, all right.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Yeah.
We're going to run the roster.
Back leg round kick,
Starts up
set
pretty
two,
normal.
back leg round kick,
Capture.
putting the
Now, I
clincher,
say 3, you can check us here.
push, back leg round kick, and then the third combo is jab cross, hook, cross, space,
3. Now, we're gonna have 2 stretches. You got cross.
so combo 1,
Close the cross.
lead leg,
So, when I say 3, you got cross and cross.
then combo 2, you're going around it, catching it, back leg round kick, and then combo 3, boom, spin.
Okay, everybody get back
All right.
Okay.
Combo 2,
Now, we have one part. Jab across, look, cross. Now from here, we're gonna have to look cross. Right out, jab across, look, cross.
next cycle.
So when I say 3, do that. Yes, sir. 3. Woo! Killing me. You're combo, I promise you. All right. Now, here, I can alley, right? Jab across, look, cross, look. As I'm throwing that last look, I'm turning up the hand, spinning side. So again, I'm here. Jab cross, hook, cross, hook. Any questions on that? Yes, so you're gonna spin with that
Let's start.
So, when I say 3, you do that whole lot more. 3.
Yeah, I said,
Yes, that's very right.
oh, and then have the, if I kick off one.
We can see it. And it's also the step in position.
All right.
There you go.
2 minutes! 2 minutes! Don't worry, you don't have to know right now. Alright.
Okay, everybody go back.
We're going to work on it first.
Okay, remember.
most part, basically you're doing the last part.
So,
And if you get a picture of here,
Is this Eric from here?
Oh, my goodness. Impressive. I think most of you actually know it already. Power ribbon nothing? Isn't that amazing? And like all of our amazing techniques, you know, you can apply this once again. You can definitely apply it to everything we teach. You can see, when I first started teaching the pyramid method a million years ago, we were doing it with form. And it's real easy with form, right? You're like, okay, here's the first one, remember each first one. Okay, now do the first one and then do that, right? So that's the way we always taught it. As we got to you know, more and more crime school and saw more combative stuff, I think that the pyramid method got a little less use. But in reality, you can do it with kickboxing sets, as we've done this tonight. You can even do it with self-defense movements. You can do it with anything. And by the way, you can even do it with stuff outside the dojo. All you're doing is a couple things. God bless you for listening. Number one is it helps with the memorization because it's 1 and then 1 and 2 and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 4. And believe it or not, there's one other psychological mechanism that makes it work so well. Nico, was it scary at all? At any time did you go, I'm not sure if I can do this? See? Where you automatically would the other way of teaching it. Way to check? By the way, we even apply the same method to CIT. That's why I said you're gonna get out there and you're just gonna hold a pad first. And then when you know, the sensei in charge, the sensei Thomas 9 out of 10 times these days, but I mean my son Shem Harley or somebody, right? The sensei in charge, it's like, okay, George is ready for a little more. George, take that one hand and give a high five. And then they go, Lydia's ready for even more. Lydia, when you give the high five, call them by their name. They go, all right, you're ready for even more. Okay, so when you give the high five and you call by the name, see if there's something that you can praise about. So you're ready for even more. When you give the high five and you call by their name, see if there's something specific you can praise. Right? And it's just the pyramid method, isn't it? It applies to anything. You guys made it really, really easy for me because I don't think I've ever seen such a talented group to be able to, like, you guys really could do kickboxing set 8 right now, couldn't you? Yes, sir. Give yourselves a big hand. Yes, sir.
So, all of you are students, right? You're all students in the dojo. At any point, have any of you felt like one of my instructors has been frustrated? when you're on the mat and you're working and you're punching and kicking, has any of them snapped at you like, Leah, what are you doing? I can't believe you're not keeping your hands up. No, because it's not what we do. When you join the CIT as a future instructor, you're still my student. You're just now my student in a different arena. And again, our student, sorry. Oops, just mine. You're still our students. So at no point during this learning process are we treating you any differently than we treat you as a student when you're on the third punching academy, or when you're a student in the leadership section, when you're learning your leadership in your life lessons. Okay? So what Grandmaster was saying, it's the exact same process that we've taken you guys through. You just didn't know it, right? And so now as a CIT member, you're beginning to see a little bit behind the curtain. And you're saying, oh, there's psychology involved in this. There's cool stuff going on behind the scenes where we're not just teaching you to kick and punch. So now you're starting to see how and why we do the things we do. Okay? Now I didn't speak at the beginning because not all of you are privy to who I was before I found Grandmaster Steve. My story about what this dojo did for me, I could write a book on it. Okay? Because I came to Grandmaster Steve with a black belt or two in other martial arts. I didn't come to Grandmaster Steve thinking I needed what he gave me. Right? I thought I was just going to get into another Krav school and beat people up and get beat up. Right? Because at that time I was a punk. I'm not gonna lie, I was a punk. And he doesn't remember the day he gave me my attitude adjustment, which says a lot about his character because he never has brought it up since. I don't even know if he remembers it. But I was a punk, I was a bully, I was not in a good state of mind, I wasn't a good person. Okay? I was an 18-year combat veteran, I came home, and I had problems. Right? I was getting in trouble, I was doing bad things, and then I found this place. And I was still in the military when I originally found it. And I started learning about the reality of leadership. Right? Much like Sensei Charlie, I discovered that it wasn't just a punch and a kick. Right? It's not about just being able to beat somebody up. The lessons that I learned from Grandmaster Steve weren't necessarily a lot of leadership stuff, because I'd had that a lot in the military. But it was more the character development. Right? And that's what I got out of it. And I did what a lot of other students do. I left and created a very successful private security company. I was doing really well, but I realized that it wasn't my passion, it wasn't my mission in life. So I came back, and I was able to come back and do what I love to do, which is teach, and is sewing into people and encouraging and enabling all of you to be the best that you can be, whatever that means to you, right? And it's individual, it's different than. So when we're talking about being part of the CIT, right? I know, like Felicity, you're just a little nervous to do it. You know, she's like, I don't know, can I do this? But even Felicity can't. She just damaged she can hold pat. Like Grandmaster said, it's no different than when you came for your first white belt class and we taught you how to do KMA Combo 1. It is no different than that. And there is no point at which any of the instructors of the CIT or any of my instructors on the floor are going to be any different with you than they are when you're day-to-day classes. So the nervousness that some of you feel, a little bit from one of them that can't see you, but you don't have to be nervous about it, right? You were kind of like, you really want to raise your hand, right? You guys got this. Nico, you got this. Everybody's got this. Because we're going to push you, and I'm going to push you outside your comfort zone, but at no point am I going to treat you any differently than I've treated you for your entire journey, for us, as we've treated you. So that's all I want to say, is what he just said about the pyramid process is actually how it works. You'll come in, and you'll do something, and then you'll get a little more, and then you'll get a little more, and before you know it, you'll be Sensei Charlie running a class, and you'll be like, I don't even remember how I was back then. And the cool thing is I'll video you, and then I'll show you that video with your black belts. But I've always said that for years. I said we should take videos of the white belts and then play it at their black belt ceremony, because it's amazing. Like, you guys, you don't see how much you grow because you're doing the growing until it's over, and then you're at the end of it. You're like, oh my goodness, look at what I've done. So I just want to say, don't let concerns stop you from doing something great. You did the first step with the white belt, and you're just gonna be a white belt over here. That's all it is.
We were all so excited when he came back. It's, you know, and look, we used the officer and CO analogy already, like, you know, I don't get offended when he says to my students because I have delegated to all of you. My job is now them. Today they took their class from me. My job is to sow into the NCOs and let them sow into all of you. And that's, you know, and I gotta tell you, you know, some of you I've had a lot of great instructors. We're leadership at Golden Academy, of course, they're all great instructors. But, you know, this is the real deal. You guys are really lucky to be learning under him right now. So, I'm going to still throw in this last. I had written down on my notes that I was going to give this lesson if I had the time to kill. In reality, it's not that much time because you got to come here and sign up for the stuff with St. Thomas. But I really believe I can give it in about 3 minutes, and then you can come sign up and too. Because it's an easy lesson, but an important one. How many people would agree that when St. Thomas gets up there and he communicates to you, that you really receive the message because he's a very good communicator? How many people have experience when that is not the case from somebody? You don't have to tell us who, but everybody has, right? There's 3 pieces to communication. Now, there's lots of skills, don't get me wrong. I mean, like, this is one of the many things that we will go deep in this course. Right now, I just want to talk to 3 elements of communication. The first one, in fact, I'm not even going to write it. You guys just got to remember. The first one is what you say. And that means that you have to actually have a message that you need to convey, and you have to have a good command of the English language such that you can do it well. The second is how you say it. And that's probably all of you that raised your hand about the bad communicator, that was probably the problem. Right? Like everybody who's been to college has had that one boring professor who only had one note to everything he said, right? Like, so how you say it is the second. And the third is the one that most people don't understand though, because believe it or not, about 70% of the message, I can't remember the exact, it might be 74, a huge amount of the message is the third thing. You know what it is? Body language. Body language. There's subtle things that, and by the way, some people do them naturally, the right things. Some people do naturally the wrong things. The ones that do naturally the wrong things can learn naturally, can learn the right things. Naturally, because so for example, if you're not very confident, there's certain body language that will show that. If you happen to just have the type of processing that looks like something else, it sends the wrong message, right? The body itself sends all kinds of messages. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, that's right. Like I actually teach in the instructor training course. I call them the 3 infamous positions. I don't want to see. I don't want to see any instructor ever like this, or like this. Oh, what's the third one?
Isn't it like?
Or even that.
Yeah,
Which I'm guilty of, actually.
It's because I'm surveying my kingdom.
I did this one all the time.
And see, isn't that a great example, right? Because when the people do those things, they're not actually thinking those things. But that's the message that it sends. This is why body language is such an important part of communication. True story, this is back to Maga. This is in 1990, Professor Kennedy taught me this lesson. He said that he was in Alaska. And they were there teaching like them how to irrigate or something. They were teaching them something, I can't remember. That part of the story is irrelevant. The point of the story is that they were doing this great work for these people and they were helping them so much, and he was really having a hard time connecting when he was teaching. And then at some point, somebody finally explained to him that every time he turned around and was writing on the board and talking to them with his back turned to him, that he was insulting them greatly. Right? So there's another thing about body language, is you don't know what the other person, what it means, right? Like, there's a lot of complexities to it, okay? But anyway, because I said I would take 3 minutes, what you say, how you say it, and then your body language are the important things of conveying the message the way you want to, instead of the way you don't. Okay? So take Thomas.
All right.
All right, guys. So I've decided to go big, because the notebook just wasn't working. So everybody that's here for CIT needs to come and put their name, their age, and their level. And by level, I mean if you're already FIST / Storm instructor. Right? That includes everybody but Bryce. That includes as they try to lead it until I hate. So everybody come and write your name, your age, and your level. And then below that are the slots that I have available for CIT assistance in class. And again, this part doesn't matter. I don't care what level you are. I will use you as your level dictates and how you're comfortable. So all of our basic classes, which is our half-hour blocks, I need 1 to 3 people. Prefer to have 3. That's 3 CITs. For the level 1, BBT1, and everybody in here can assist, except George. George is but you're testing for your 1. Yes, so you can assist in basic, but everybody else can assist in BBT1, which is an hour block of time. I need 1 to 2 for my 6 to 7 and 5:30 to 6:30, and then I need 1 for the 8 to 9. And then on Fridays and Saturdays, there's also some additional blocks. Like Friday, it's an hour, but it combines basic and BBT1, so I need 3. Saturdays for all the classes, we only need 1 to 2. Okay. So what you're gonna do is you come put your name, your age, and your level, and then if you already know or can commit to some existing times, go ahead and write them down. This part is not required, you still need to think about it or whatever. But if today you're like, yes, I want to get started and start getting my hours down, you can go ahead and put your name down in one of those blocks.
I want that slot for CSDs.
Correct, that's the other thing. So we will be doing, eventually we will have a better scheduling system. But right now this is just that first kind of like who is ready. Everybody needs to come up and at least do name, age, and level.
But before you do that,
But before
let's
you
do the picture.
Picture first.
Then you can do that and then we'll do that.
I told you, do not let me forget. Come here, Chichen, which name?
A serious picture, or can we have 1 minute?
We'll do one of each.
What's going on?
This is a serious one.
Okay, serious one?
I mean, you can smile.
Serious?
You can smile, you just can't do it.
No choking, nobody. Everybody was too crazy, just like that.
Oh, let's do
Foggy, I don't want it. Okay, now choke each other out. Okay. Now don't finish it up.
Explain that. Was it good? Explain that.
Alright, here's pen. Sorry. You can use regular pen. Sorry.
So loud.
I'm not even mad, it just sounds bad. Like whatever they're playing just sucks. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
So once you guys have signed up for your.
Good.
CIT,